a small dice here because, you know, we don't want like big ass fucking potatoes up in this soup. Something like that. It's probably pretty good. Don't fucking chop off your hands and shit while you're doing this. That'd be bad. You need your fingers for gaming. See, we're keeping it gaming relevant somehow. Alright, that's it. It's quite a lot of potatoes. You want to cook this ahead of time because you're just going to dump the shit in to the soup later. Oops, don't drop it on the floor like I just dropped it on the floor. But you boil this off. You know, we put it on the stove on high heat until the potatoes, you stick a fork through it and it's good. And that's pretty much it. Alright, so the other thing we gotta have is we gotta have celery. And you just chop it, don't chop your fucking hand off. You know, so the technique for chopping, you want to keep all the shit behind the knife. And by the shit, I mean your hand. So, like, you hold the knife, you want this shit up like this, and this shit pulled back. Right? So you can just... So there's no way you can cut yourself if you're doing it like this. I learned how to do this from my father, actually. Anyways, then the carrot is more, you don't want to fuck around with the carrot because it's actually kind of hard. So the carrot, I'm going to just... I fucked that up. Sorry. You know, kind of cut it in half-ish. So you can lay it down. Right, and then you just want to just go like this. Because you don't want big-ass pieces of carrot in your soup. That's fucking disgusting. Alright, like that. And then this will give you, you know, the little pieces that you really want up in your shit. I don't even know if celery goes in clam chowder, but I'm fucking putting it. We'll see, you know. If it tastes good, then it goes, and if it tastes shit, then it shouldn't have been there in the first place. And we chop this up. There's probably a more chefy way to dice carrots, but you know, this is the gaming way to dice carrots. There you go. And we need bacon, because clam chowder should have bacon. You want a fat element in your chowder. First off, because you're going to put fat with flour to make a roux, which is fat and flour equal parts. Cook it down. And that acts as the thickening. This particular bacon is hickory smoked bacon. It's not cured, so it doesn't have any nitrates, curing salts, any of that shit, so you won't get cancer from it or whatever. It's just smoky goodness. Smoky goodness. So this potatoes, you bring the potatoes up to the boil And you saw earlier when I did a small dice. So this stuff, I don't know, it'll probably take 5 or 6 minutes to cook. And then we're going to pull them out and dump that water. We just boiled them and drained it. Now we go back in the same pot, throw some bacon in that shit. Because clam chowder, bacon, you know, you gotta have bacon in your chowder if you want it to be good. So we're just gonna cook it off for a bit. And actually, to be honest, I'm just gonna cheat. Because this is for TV, we'll pull up Rachel Ray and shit. And we'll dump our veg in there at the same time. Veg. More veg coming still. And then keep your hands clean. Keep washing that shit. And then we need little olive oil so this shit doesn't stick all over the place. And give it a couple spins. And we let this render down for a bit. I'm stirring it up right now, but I'm going to leave it alone in a second. And then when this cooks down a little bit, then what we're going to do is we're going to put some butter in there and some flour. So what you want to have is you want to have about equal parts fat to flour. So after I do that, I'm going to dump this and I'll put some fat in there with some butter, and then I'll put some flour in there around equal parts. Stir that trash up. And you cook it till the flour is not raw. And then we'll put in clams, clam juice, water, and milk to finish it. And then we'll add the potatoes back right at the end. And that'll be it. Here it's been cooking down. So you see the bacon's like crispy and whatnot. And we got some fat in there. So we're going to turn it down a little bit. And then we're going to add the butter, because you can't have clam chowder without butter. Right, this is 3 tablespoons butter. That's an American measurement for you Europeans. Learn to America. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of which, tomorrow some of my friends from Europe are arriving in America to play some Battlefield Hardline. Shout out to Fnatic, Drunks, my boy, and all the other folks arriving. So, like, you know, we put this butter in here, this, and melt that shit down. And then to make a roux, you have flour, and you want equal parts fat to flour, but I have no idea how much fat is in here, so I'm just going to add some flour and stir it until it looks right to me. And it needs more. Now this is kind of a trial and error thing. Like, you need to do this a few times to figure out what it's supposed to look like, but you can just watch on the television screen and get an idea for how it's supposed to look in terms of the thickness of it. Like, you can see it's kind of sticking together and a little gloopy. Maybe a little tiny bit more flour. Like, that much is perfect. Now this is going to act as a thickening agent when I put in the stock. Well, actually, we're not making it with stock. We're making it with clam juice and water, actually. And milk. But that will be the thickening agent. So first, we cook it off because you don't want to taste raw flour. Raw flour is putrid, disgusting. So we got to cook it off for a bit here. Cook it off. stir it. You don't want it to burn. I did turn the flame down a little bit. You don't want to make the roux too dark either, you know. You want it just to be... So stir it, because you don't want it to be too dark, but you want the flour to cook. Alright, now I'm going to put in milk. Excuse me, cat. Now what you should do, technically, like if you're making this as like a serious, like, oh, I'm a fucking chef dish, is you should have another pan, and you should heat up your milk separate, so it's hot when you pour the milk in. But I'm not doing that because I'm lazy, and I'm not a chefy motherfucker. So now I'm turning the flame up, because you gotta bring this to a boil. It won't thicken unless you bring it to a boil. You gotta bring it to a boil. And I'm gonna add the clams and the clam stock. So this is a good way to get clams. So it's all natural chopped clams, extra fancy like me, North Atlantic surf clam. You know what I'm saying? So just dump all that in there and the juice. And we stir that up in there. And at this point we put back the potatoes that we made earlier. So this is that crap we cooked and diced earlier. We dumped that back in there. And then you put your seasoning, which is, in this case, we're going to do fresh cracked pepper. Then I'm cracking for you right now, crack-a-lacking. What's crack-a-lacking? Crack your pepper. And then salt. So I'm going to use table salt because I ran out of kosher salt. Ordinarily you'd use kosher salt for this, but I'm just going to use table salt. And now we just got to bring this to the boil pretty much, and then we're Gucci. Taste this, because you need to check the salt level. Make sure the salt level is good. It's pretty good. I can't really tell. Maybe it needs a tiny bit more salt. It's that much. Seasoning is really important, you know. If it's not seasoned, it's shit. So you gotta make sure that you put enough, you know, salt and pepper in your dish, because you don't want it to come out like shit. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, this is pretty damn close to the final dish here. It's super clammy. You can see the thickness of it. It's pretty thick. That's from the flour roux that we made earlier. We just gotta make sure we get it all the way up to the boil, or simmer rather, because we want to make sure that the flour has had its full chance to kick in and thicken this bad boy. Now this, you could serve it by itself, or just how we're gonna eat it, or you could serve it with bread. Nice sourdough bread. I recommend a white wine with this. Sauvignon Blanc, perhaps. I like Sauvignon Blanc. Chardonnay could work. Maybe. I don't know, some shit. Anyway, that's pretty much the dish. Thank you for watching. Final presentation in a bowl. That's it. Simple.